Welcome all of you to the first episode of season number 2 of Mashle Magic and Muscles. At the very beginning of the video, we are told about the Divine Visionaries, who is one of the most prominent magic users in the world, who is also the new Divine Visionaries. They are given the opportunity to work in the most powerful legal institution in the world, which is the Bureau of Magic, where those people handle everything related to magic and sometimes those who want to destroy that thing. They are also taught a lesson, and then we are shown Divine Visionary Ryan Ames, and then the scene shifts where we are told in brief about everything that happened last season, where the match saw every member of the Maze Lups. But when he was fighting with Innocent Rose Self-Match, then everyone came to know that Match is not using his magical power. In fact, he has no magical power at all. He is just using his muscles. And this news had started spreading throughout the academy. And then Shin shifts, and we are shown the scene from the present when Mash was completely cool, and he says to Finn that, "Come on, Finn. Now after school they celebrate." But poor Finn was in a lot of tension. Mash's secret was leaked, but Finn was in tension. But then a guy comes from behind, and as soon as he comes, he asks, "Mash, hey Mash, is this true? You don't know how to use magic." And on hearing this, Finn bursts. And then the Match says that no, it is not like that at all. I use magic. Look, I am able to use magic. But then that guy says that, look, don't lie like that. Everyone knows that. You don't know how to use magic, so please accept this thing. And on hearing this, Finn tells Mash that, "Mash, we should leave from here." But then that guy taunts Finn, and he says, "Do you know, Finn, what you are doing? You are protecting a non-magic user. This thing can get you in trouble too." He constantly taunts Finn and says, "You are protecting a non-magic user. Why do you want to save him?" But after hearing all this, Finn gets very angry and shouts and says that you keep your mouth shut and mind your own business. But then someone uses gravitational magic on that guy, and there was no one but Lance. Lance comes there, and then the guy asks, "Why did you use this magical spell on me?" And then Lance says that just by looking at your face, I was feeling very irritating. And then there Dot and Lemon also come. Lemon Dot was being carried in a wheelchair because Dot's body was destroyed. Her entire body was covered with bandages, and after that the scene shifts and we are seen in Elder Dom's room number 302. The scene inside is shown where the celebration starts. There is a lot of pressure and food remains where the Match was very excited to eat. But the Finn, who was on the same side, was behaving a bit strange, because there were 2 other people there at the party, and those 2 people were none other than Lord Abel and Abyss, and Finn was very scared to see them, and Ivan, who was there with Lord Abel still in his lap. He was keeping the puppet and seeing that Finn's condition is getting worse. But then Abel asks if anyone wants to play cards here, but then Abel says that if anyone beats Lord Abel in this game, then she is going to die by my hands, and hearing this, Finn's condition gets worse. But then Lemon tells him not to be so serious, and then he offers tea to Abyss, but then the Abyss becomes completely weird. He behaves like no words are coming out of his mouth, and then Abel says that don't worry, as soon as this boss comes in front of the girls, all his breath goes out, and then everyone starts eating lemon mash. But then Finn goes to Lance and asks, "Why did you leave us and go to the basement?" And then Lance says, "Look, in the basement, I had to beat up a guy from Langdrome, and as I finished beating him, then some other people were also found there who were claiming that they were from Death Row. But then in the middle of the fight, they left from there, and after hearing all this, Finn's condition got worse. But then after eating food, we are shown that Mash and Abyss were sitting in a slightly different personal space where Abyss tells that, even though you have won the match today, but look at this thing as a warning. I am sure that people will come again. Innocent Row will come again for you, who is the biggest criminal of this magical world. He wanted a person who is very exceptional in magical power, and that is why he hired Lord Abel, so that he can be a person for him. He was able to find such a person, and in return, he had gifted power to Lord Abel, due to which a 3rd mark was generated on his face. That mark is not natural, because if someone has 3 marks naturally on his face, then he will be born to Lord Abel. You will also be many times more powerful, but from this interaction I could understand that whatever they are looking for, they have definitely connected you with that thing. That is why they are trying to get you. He will definitely come again, so please be safe. And then we are shown the scene outside the room, where the same guy comes again, so that this time he can collect some evidence against the mesh, and then prove to everyone that Mash doesn't know magic. He stands in front of Mash's gate and peeks inside her room, and as soon as he peeks, he sees that Mash and Abyss are sitting together like friends and are talking together. Seeing this, he doesn't believe it, but then he feels that there is someone behind him, and as soon as he turns around, he sees Abel standing behind him, and Abel says, "What are you doing here?" and so much. On hearing this, the guy's condition gets worse due to fear, and he immediately runs away from there. And then we are shown the scene inside the room where a bird comes from the window, and that bird comes and gives a letter to Mash. Deke leaves from there, and then we are shown the scene of the next day, where Mash goes directly to the Bureau of Magic according to the letter, where he meets the vice president of the Bureau of Magic, whose name was Bless, the minister, and he say to the match that right now I am setting up an emergency inquiry on you, because we have come to know that you do not have any magical power, which is a serious crime. And then he starts telling how this entire world, this has been created by God, and God has gifted magical power to all the humans here, but you do not have magical power, which means you are a bug in this system, and you should get rid of it as soon as possible. We have to get rid of him. Mash tries to defend himself, but the curse that was there fills him even more. But then a man interrupts him and he says to Mash that I see the potential in you to become a real man. And this guy was none other than divine visionary Rio Grandes. And then he said that, look, Mash, this whole world has some rules in it, and these rules exist only according to the majority. So if you also have to live here, then follow the same rules. Very simple. And then he places a candle in front of the match and says that you light this candle without touching it, and then we will accept that magical power exists inside you. And only after hearing this, the person who was in the match moves ahead and takes out his magical stick or wand, places it on the ground and starts rubbing it with full force, and the friction was so powerful that the area is filled with flame, and the candle that was there also gets burnt. And after seeing this, everyone loses their senses. And Mash says that I will also come in the same majority, only on the strength of my fist, and then we will get many divine visionaries. It is shown that on the instructions of Mr. Wellberg, they were moving towards the main hall, because a magic student had come there and they had to punish him, which was basically Mash. And on the same side, we are shown Mash, and suddenly a sand tornado comes over Mash's legs and his entire body, and as Mash turns back, he sees that there are many divine visionaries standing behind him. Even the Blessed One was scared for a time. And then the divine visionary says to Otter Match that look at all the information I have collected about you till now, and on top of that you are in the Eastern Magic Academy. But you do not know how to use magic. After all this, I sentence you to death. After hearing this, the mess also gets scared suddenly. But then Mr. Blaze comes there. A strange aura was emanating from his body, and he says in a different voice that you cannot do this thing. We are Innocent Zero, and this boy belongs to us. And after hearing this, Mash says that I do not belong to anyone. But after hearing Zero's name, everyone starts feeling very strange. But then Mr. Bless says that we, all of them, are not kidding. This message is coming from Innocent Row itself. We have embedded a Magi parasite inside this human, and everyone gets scared as soon as they hear the name of Magi parasite. Because a Magi parasite is basically there is a magical parasite which can stick in the body of any person and feed on his mana. And that person will do the same thing, which will tell him it is a magical parasite. And if anyone tries to remove this magical parasite, then parasite will attack him. And Rio was watching all this from above, and he says that this means that you guys really want to declare a war with the Bureau of Magic. Anyway, I would have wanted to do this long ago, and wanted to end it, and then he comes down and says that I should remove that parasite, but then the lady says, no, you can't do this. If you try to remove it, then that magical parasite will attack you. But by now it was too late. Mash had already removed that parasite. But then that parasite suddenly enters Mash's stomach from inside his mouth. Mash feels very uncomfortable and vomits immediately, and the parasite that was there comes out suddenly, But this parasite does not come out like that. Rather, it comes out like a balloon being tied up, seeing which the lady gets completely shocked and says that how did you do it? And then the match says that he has tied this entire creature with his tongue in such a way that the girl cannot believe after hearing this. The lady goes completely crazy after seeing all this. Rio is very much impressed, but Otter still keeps his words and says that if you don't know how to use magic, then you will have to die. And this is the rule of this world. And then he says, then come with us. But Mash says that I am not going to move even a single foot from here. I am not going anywhere. And after hearing all this, Order gets very angry, and he suddenly appears behind the match and was about to attack the match. Then he says to Rios, wait, you have not heard my opinion yet. But then Otter says, look, I do not need your opinion because I am also going to work according to the rules and according to the rules and regulations. He will have to die now, but then Rio, who was there, says that you cannot do this, but then a very big sword falls between them, and Match says that this sword seems to be lost. And then Mr. Wellberg and Divine Visionary Ryan enter that hall, and with this, the episode ends. So guys, tell me now what is going to happen in the future of the match. By the way, see you in the next episode. Till then, bye-bye, stay safe.